Welcome back to LimQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until the sequel Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is today in 69 days. Nice. Today I want to talk about a speculative topic, and I will just preface this by saying none of this is basically using any leaked information from the art book. This is pure speculation, and the topic is, I want to kind of guess where, if they even exist, will be our Tears of the Kingdom dungeons. I am pretty sure that Tears of the Kingdom will have dungeons. It was probably, maybe other than weapons not breaking anymore, the #1 most requested change to Tears of the Kingdom. Other than maybe, I guess music was up there, and like the storyline was up there for #1 requested changes. When I say storyline, lots of people wanted the storyline to be basically unfolding as you play, more than just going around and only watching memories, not really having much of an influence to the story that has already happened. Now, I think there's a couple potential locations that immediately come up that make a lot of sense. But I actually recently thought about some more that might be interesting that you may have not thought about before. So let's say, obviously we don't even know yet how exploration is going to go down in general. Is there multiple versions of Hyrule? Is there a Hyrule of the past and the future and like what God knows what? But just from the Hyrule that we've seen, that Link is traversing in, I think the #1 easiest location where we will probably find some sort of dungeon is gonna be Death Mountain. Death Mountain seems to have gone cold. We don't really see much lava on the surface of Death Mountain anymore, and instead the lava seems to almost have been replaced by this new malice. The malice does look slightly different. This is something that many people have pointed out in the past. Is this because graphical changes? I don't think so. It's probably, there's probably more to it than just like a graphical change. But even though, and this is something that people forget sometimes, technically Var Redania was inside Death Mountain. The Divine Beast climbed inside Death Mountain. Now that it's gone cold, I'm assuming that we find some new structure. Maybe even the reason for Death Mountain having gone cold. And we are gonna have to solve some puzzles. Is this still gonna be a fire temple? Thematically, it would make a lot of sense. Who knows if the temples are even gonna be like we know them from previous Zelda games, right? Where there's like a water temple, fire temple, earth temple, etc. But let's just like play it with the rules that we know from Zelda games. So let's assume there's a pretty good chance that there's gonna be a whatchamacallit, a fire temple inside Death Mountain. Location #2, and this is something that many people have pointed out, the forest temple, presumably in Korok Forest. Now, Korok Forest is still there, but the Deku Tree is not. I don't know if there's going to be a huge flying island with the Deku Tree on top. Would be kind of cool to see the Deku Tree take a little bit of a vacation in the sky, but I'm not sure if that's going to be happening, or if it's actually maybe a gun underground. I think the chances of that are much higher. You can actually see, if you go back into the Tears of the Kingdom trailers, some huge structures on top of where the Deku Tree usually would be. They are kind of like sky islands, but they're not really islands. It almost looks like a ladder, and there's no shot in like Tears of the Kingdom trailers we've seen so far where you can actually see the whole thing, which makes me really question whether, again, maybe it's like super high up, but I would predict that the Deku Tree has somehow gone underground, and there's maybe some sort of underground forest, and that could be where we find our forest temple. Location #3, and I think that's an obvious one, is going to be inside the huge snowstorm on top of Hebra Peak. I don't know if it's actually exactly on top of Hebra Peak. There's this huge, like, I don't even know if it's a snowstorm, this huge, like, storm cloud hanging over Hebra with something hiding that we have not seen yet. This could either be our traditional sky temple, it could be some sort of snow temple, thinking about Hebra in general. Also, I do have to open my door real quick. This has happened once before, so excuse me for that.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
That's the problem with doing these videos live every day, essentially. If you remember the first time this has happened in a video, I had to open my door because I'm getting an Amazon delivery. And this one is featuring a water fountain for my cats, so I don't want to let them down. So I had to open that real quick, I'm sorry. But yeah, huge cloud on top of Hebra Peak, potentially is gonna have some sort of snow or sky temple. Another potential, in my opinion, idea for the Sky Temple could actually be on top of Korok Forest, just because of what I just explained, right? There's like a bunch of islands. Also, the reason I'm gonna go to this talus over there is because there's a location called Giza Crater that you have to get that way. But again, if you go back to the trailer, look at Korok Forest. There's these like huge bricks hanging over Korok Forest, and you can never see the top of them. So I'm a little bit curious to see if this maybe has some ties to some sort of sky temple. Last but not least, another location that I do want to talk about is this huge, I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost like a tooth shape. This very weird, huge structure in the sky that we've seen multiple times now on multiple screenshots, even in multiple trailers. There's the Giza Crater, that's what I was talking about. We do not have to fight the talus. Lots of people have already predicted that this could potentially be a dungeon. I have no idea, obviously, what's going to be inside it. It looks kind of like a weird shape for a dungeon. And I would have no idea what this dungeon's theme would be, but it is definitely a structure that we've seen that stands out. I want to discuss a couple noteworthy locations from this game where I think we could potentially find a dungeon. One, I actually recently watched Hyrule Gamer, I think, put out a video with hopes about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. One that I definitely agree with that would be really cool is if there was some structure in the lake here, either underwater, even like an underwater lake temple, or maybe rising out of the lake. We've seen Gleeok, the Gleeok-like creature on the bridge of Hylia in one of the shots. I think that could be a really interesting water temple location, kind of like some underwater ruins, Atlantis type stuff. I want to talk about the 7, aka 8 heroines here. I always thought this in particular looked like an entrance to a dungeon. I was actually expecting, when solving this puzzle in my casual playthrough, to find something other than a shrine there. The location seemed to be too important to simply just feature a shrine. I really thought that was going to be a dungeon, so I was actually kind of disappointed when it was just a shrine. And then last but not least, I am almost certain that we will find something in the Faron region. It could be related to the Spring of Courage. There's this big wall behind the Spring of Courage with 2 snakes on there. There's multiple walls there. These walls look similar to one of the shots we've seen in the first trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, where the camera kind of like zooms out of an entrance. I think that's also one of our strongest bets to find a dungeon. And then the very last thing that's extremely obvious, and actually let me know if you consider Hyrule Castle in this game a dungeon or not, because some people in my community seem to do so, seem to agree, others not so much. Technically, Hyrule Castle is considered a dungeon when it comes to the all dungeons speedrun. So do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? I think it feels somewhat like it. It does have a unique map, and if you do, then I think it's fair to say that there's a pretty good chance that Tears of the Kingdom is also going to have something inside Hyrule Castle. We've already officially basically seen the malice come out of it, out of the ground there. And given what I said about that mountain earlier, I have no idea why the wind bomb failed, by the way. I am pretty certain that we'll find something in there that at least would probably resemble some sort of dungeon. I think Hyrule Castle has been a good dungeon in past games like Twilight Princess, so it makes sense that it's gonna come back. That's pretty much it. Those are the locations that I wanted to note. Have a pretty good chance. Obviously, we've seen nothing about the game. There could be... We don't know how far the underground section goes. I was actually thinking about this in the gym today, that there's probably a pretty good chance that we're gonna have some sort of like, I don't know, underground village or something like that. We basically have no idea how big the underground area would be. I'll tell you a funny fact. You know how some people when they go to the gym probably listen to like hardstyle or metal music? I was listening to the Nintendo Masked Bandit video about So Nice today in the gym when I was working out, and that's when my mind kind of went there. Very interesting. I highly recommend rewatching that video, especially now that we have more information about Tears of the Kingdom. I think that was very spot on for being kind of an older video. I just closed my eyes, scratching my face, and I died That's unfortunate. I do want to get this Korok seed real quick and then continue up to the top of the tower, where I'm probably going to end today's episode because I discussed all of the locations I wanted to, but that's a little bit unfortunate. It's so easy to forget the fact that I do not have all of the fairies that I would usually have in a speedrun. In speedruns, health basically doesn't matter. But this is why I cooked, by the way, when I did cook. I talked about this yesterday. A bunch of 5 durian meals to basically get up to 30 hearts. That should make this less of an issue. Another thing is enemies that are annoying in speedruns are basically not an issue because we have like 4,000 ancient arrows. So if an enemy is in my way, like here, I just delete them using ancient arrows. But I don't have infinite ancient arrows on this file. It's almost like a casual playthrough. Disgusting. One small thing, now that I think about it, that I guess might be worth talking about, is that I'm actually planning to do a Breath of the Wild casual playthrough again. When Tears of the Kingdom is closer to release, probably around April. If that's something you want to check out, twitch.tv/limcube, streaming 6 times a week. I like most of the time. Sometimes I'll take an extra day off, but most of the time I stream from Monday to Saturday. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to be doing a glitchless casual playthrough there again if you want to see me play as poorly as I do in these episodes sometimes. But rant over for today. Let me know where you think there could be dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom. Or if you even think dungeons are back. These were my thoughts to the topic. Thank you for watching. 69 days. Nice. Until the game comes out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow when there is 68 days. Thank you for watching as always. Enjoy the rest of your day.